Or look at number 27. The biggest thing was that people said that they did not receive the numbers that I got online, but they set up everything correctly. So if you're looking at the first company, right? I'll just call it C sub 1. Let me do it in a different color. Company 1 right here. Okay, everyone knew that for $100, you got 10,000 pieces. Okay, sorry, let me help this poor student. Let me turn do not disturb here as well. Okay, so $100, you get 10,000 pieces. And remember, the unit fraction is always like this. It's always your cost, unit cost is always the dollar amount over however many things there are. So when I was assisting a couple of students, that was pretty good, you know. We got that and it was okay and they were okay. Then what happened though was that you got the, what did we call it? The annual service fee of $500. The problem is that I've already told you that the problem is compounded monthly. But the thing is that the annual fee, let me write down annual right here. Annual has to be converted to monthly. So not only is it, let me switch back to purple. Not only is it, where's it, $500 here. I'm gonna write this in black so it's a generic color. It has to be divided by 12 because there's however many months in a year. In this case, 12. So there's that. And then the other thing is, edit, copy. The other thing is that you have to worry about the total monthly cost now. So total monthly cost. Okay, and remember the way we wrote this, whether you saw it in class or on last Thursday's Zoom, was that you can think of it as a parenthetical operation, right? So you should not go 100 divided by 10,000, get that fraction, 500 divided by 12, get that fraction. You should just do this all in your calculator as one swift motion or swift calculation, and then you should be able to get the rounded number that I provided there, which was, give me a second so I can pull it up. Wow, what was that? Sorry, hold on. Okay. Chat. 24, if we look at finding interest accrued again. Yeah, okay, cool. So we're good. All right, so that's that. And then that one comes out to 541.67. That's after rounding and everything. So remember in green right here, these two, they're added together. And then whatever that result is, this is your, not only for company one, you can think of this as the recurring payment for the first company, right? That's the option, if you will. So there's that. And then pretty much you repeat this for the second meeting as well. I mean, second company as well. So that would be the 50,000 for 375 annual fee. Now, the other thing is that I won't write that here for the second company, but I'll, you know, just same details for company two. But what you do need to remember is that remember the details that you need for finding the recurring payment after you find it, that you're trying to find the present value for it all. And then those details I remember gave you are underneath the problem in terms of the interest rate, which is 0.0624. We said that this was going to be in contract for 5.5 years, 5.5. And remember, you got to multiply by the CP on both of these. And the CP was 12 in this case that I gave you, okay? I will write this out really quick for company one in terms of their present value. So present value one is 541.67. And then the rest, 0624. 0.0624. So that's over 12. This number 5.5 times 12 is 66. Remember, that's negative here for the present value. And then if you did that correctly, again, that should match whatever is in the back of my textbook, which should be this 30,195.24. And remember, you have to add the initial costs. Which was for the first company, $10,000. Which gave you a total of 40,195.24. And you would compare that to the second company, right? Remember, then you would do the same exact thing for the second company for the present value, 2 right there. Find out what that present value is the same exact way. Add the initial cost of, let me write that down for you really quick, which was 17,000. And then you would compare again. I'm sure some of you looked already, but the cost is this way, right? Company 2 is more expensive, but only by a little bit. And therefore, company 1 is the most economical choice. And then you can read letter B as I wrote in there. They said, hey, if you were to choose a more expensive one, why would you do it? You know, what would be the reason, so on and so forth, right? What other questions? I'm just looking back to Zoom to see if there's any questions. For number 27, company 2, would it be 375 plus 6 for the unit cost and fee? So yes, Danny, that is correct. That would be the same exact setup for company 1, but with company 2 details. Make sure those numbers are right. 375 over 50,000 plus 625 divided by 12. Yep. So Danny, that's good there. Anyone else? What other questions for number 27 only right now? All right. I'm going to jump to 25 since no one said 26, even though Brianna said, to be honest, all of them. Okay, 25. Just draw a line really quick here. Number 25, I think there shouldn't have been any weird complications here, maybe for the interest accrued. So I'm going to write this out traditionally. You realize that they have a goal of $5 million and they want this for the future. So hopefully people realize that this is a future problem. And since you have a goal of 5 million, goal given, that implies that you solve for R, right? So your formula you should be using is, if you're referencing the formula sheet, is this one. R for the future value equals future value I 1 plus I n minus 1. Okay, usual suspects. This is what you're looking for. They told you that the future value is 5 million. Okay, interest rate here is 2.24%, 0.0224. Here, I already forgot to tell you, they said monthly payments, so you know that the compounding period is 12 as well. And then N, I gave a weird one here, but it turns out that it's not that weird, right? 37 years and 10 months. But you realize what? You realize that you just take 37, you multiply by the compounding period right here, right? So the rookie mistake students make is that sometimes, don't write this down, but they'll take this whole thing and they'll multiply by 37. Or they'll take the whole thing and they multiply by 12. Or they'll take this piece only and multiply 12. Or they'll do this correctly, 37 times 12, but then they'll multiply the 10 times 12 as well. Or they get this correct number, and then when they move over to the equation, they multiply by 12 again. Again, I don't know why. So all those are incorrect, right? So you just want to worry about this. 37 times 12, which is 444, plus 10 equals 454. And that's the number of payments that you're using, right? And then when you move it over to the formula here, you don't want to write any extra details, right? It's just, sorry, let me write this really quick. It's just the number 454 and that's it, right? No extra. When you're moving here, this nice little orange circle right here, right? All your details in terms of calculating and everything that you've written on the side of your margin of your paper or whatnot, that should all be done, right? So 454 goes right here and there's no extra alteration for it. Now, again, I know most people know that, but I'm just talking to compensate for those that I expect, not that I'm expecting anyone specifically to mess up, but just those types of anticipations when I grade the second exam over and over again. Okay, and this answer is on the back, which is, hold on, I got it right here. Oh, there's a typo here on my textbook. Oh, no, that's right. Just kidding. Okay, so the monthly payment is $7,007.62. So that's the first part of the answer right there. Okay, now, how do we find interest accrued, right? Remember, since this is a future, as I outlined right here, that means that the quote unquote formula is like this: future value minus your recurring payments and also the number of total payments. Well, what are those numbers, right? This is here. This is here. And the future value is the 5 million right here, right? Number-wise, will be written out like this. And I know I can't do my little dance about pocket money right now, but remember, 5 million is what you have in total. You personally, you all put away 7,062 every month, right? So this, think of it as your personal money, right? Personal money, pocket money, as I described it as, right? Money that you personally contributed. And then why 454? Because that's the number of total payments. Or you just realize it's this calculation to the left right here. So not this 454 on the bottom right here where the parentheses is, not that one. I'm talking about the one right here where I circled, right? Where did 454 come from? Because sometimes students lose track of that. It's this line that I'm drawing right here of this calculation, right? It's always based on your time right there. This answer's in the back, whatever it may be. Actually, I can do it right quick right now. It's 1,818,540.42. Oops. There you go. Let me flip back just to see if there's any questions on that. Interest accrued. 24 we'll get to, don't worry. Okay, good. Okay, what questions do we have here for number 25? Okay, number 24, the quote unquote change up. Oops, no, I don't want that there. Okay, there you go. Number 24, the change up that you have to worry about is how much you're actually loaning, or you're seeking to loan, right? Or you're seeking to borrow. And you can already see right here, it says that the home itself is $2.34 million. It's written out like this, by the way. But they tell you that you only need 82% of that cost. But only need 82%. So hopefully people realize that when you're reading this, you realize that there's a loan. Did I say loan or mortgage? I said mortgage. So it's a mortgage. You already know that's a present value. Boom. Okay. Well, what are you solving for? The present value or the recurring payment? Well, they already told you what the total cost is. Okay, you're not using that number, but they told you also that though that you only need 82% of the cost. So you can see that large amount of money, that large sum, that total amount, however you want to think of it, as the many ways we described it. That's what you're talking about. So the present value, it's given, kind of, which means that you have to solve for the recurring amount, right? So, and you already know it's a mortgage, so the mortgage implies again that the CP is 12, but just in case, formula-wise, for those that need to know, it is this one. PVI 1 minus 1 plus I negative N, right? So that's that right there. And right, same details. Now, I'm gonna write it in a light blue right here. Present value is not 23,000, I'm sorry, 2,003,400, 2,340,000, sorry, I couldn't say it right, but only 82% of that. So that it would be 2,340,000 times 0.82, right? This is 1,918,800. And the rest should pretty much be straightforward. I'm going to just write out the numbers right now. The I and the N, I can let you all take care of that, but let me at least write this setup for you. I'm gonna scroll up now. So if you're on the other problem, you can look on it on Blackboard later. This is 0.0324. 1 minus 1 plus 0.0324 over 25 years. So that should be 300, I believe. Yeah. So negative 300 over 12 over 12. Okay, so you get an answer here. Whatever that answer is. Again, it's in the back, okay? But the interest owed, right? In this case, it's owed. Since you know, again, it's a mortgage, the quote unquote formula is this way around. It's the recurring payments, right? Times the total number of payments. And this time you're subtracting off the total amount or the mortgage. No, I spelled that wrong, sorry. Mortgage, right? Or loaned amount, or borrowed, right? So again, the key component here is not the 2.34 million, but what you just borrowed. So here, let me draw some arrows so people can see visually what's going on. This goes here, 1918, 800. RPV, that's whatever the answer is in the back of the book. So I'll just write that there for you. But the total number of payments, we can get that immediately. That's this 300 right here. Okay, and then for those that are wondering again, where did 300 come from? It's because we're being lent this money over 25 years and we're paying it off every month. So it's not 25, it's not 12, but the product of those two, okay? So whatever this calculation is, it's in the back. So this is what people are looking for possibly. Let me see if that's another student, sorry. Oh, it's not, okay, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna flip back around, see if there's any questions here. All right, how many people are in this room now? Oh, Natalie's here, good. All right, so I'm looking at the chat right now. What other questions do we need to see? The amortization schedule should have been straightforward for everyone. It copies or mimics exactly what we did in class physically before we actually stopped meeting. Do we have class now? Yes. Let me turn off the notification line on here, sorry. All right, RPV was monthly payments. Yes, correct. So R is the recurring payment, and it's for, in this particular problem, the monthly payments. So the only thing that you want to note, let me write this out really quick. So Brinley is correct if you're looking at the chat and she's like, hey, RPVs are the monthly payments, right? The only thing you want to note is, and I'll what's out so you don't have to see my crummy handwriting. So note RPV, or I should say R sub PV, right? That's the underscore, just because I'm typing, is the recurring payment, whatever the frequency is for the present value. Okay, note, or I should say notice, it does not have to be monthly. So obviously she's correct, right? But this recurring payment is critical because if I give you a problem or an example or anything that is practice or the exam or a feature problem or whatnot, you have to ingrain in your mind that the recurring payment can be anything, and it's not just monthly. You don't want to get quote unquote comfortable where it's just, hey, it's always the monthly payment. You just want to think of it in the more generic or the broad sense. It's the recurring payment, whatever it may be, recurring, and then the PV is just because it's present value. But yeah, I just know what the number was off the top of my head because I didn't calculate and I did it in advance. But I did have a couple of students that were asking questions about the homework last week, and the answers are correct in the back of the book. So we double checked, triple checked, and all that fun stuff. Okay, good question, Brinley. What other questions do we have for 24, 25, or 27? Okay. Okay, so no one is saying anything right now, which is fine. So then, excuse me, let's open it up for the problems in the appendix section. So not only answers to homework were in the appendix section, the homework problem, I'm sorry, the sample exam 2 questions what questions do we have about those? Did anybody look at those for practice or take a look at them yet? Or you want to take a look at them first and then ask me on Thursday? Okay, for those that came into the class late, can we do one together? Which one? There is, if you go back to my textbook in the appendix section, there is examples for first exam. Examples for second exam. Either, well, there's 13 problems. That's a problem, Danny. So it depends, are you looking at it? So if you're not looking at it right now, it's page 39 in my textbook. Let me write this down here, page 39, my textbook. Pick a problem. Okay, everyone not pick a problem. I'm not gonna do all 13 right now because the answers are all there already. So if you're not looking at it right now, go ahead, pull it up and all the answers are right there. Anything that requires a chart, it's all written out. It just depends on what you're reading and you feel comfortable or not comfortable, whatever the case may be. Let me double check what we did on Thursday. Make sure I didn't do any of those problems. Moving from one account from another. No, I made that question up. I made that question up too. Create a partial amortization schedule for, oh yeah, I made that one up. Okay, good. So if you weren't on Thursdays, if you weren't in Thursday's lecture, then I didn't do anything that you couldn't have seen already because it was all on Blackboard. But all those questions are made up and I didn't do any of the problems that are in my textbook. Okay, let's look at this chat. So yeah, someone pick something if they want to see it. And then for those that trickled in late, remember, we're going to start at 11 o'clock sharp. I'll have the app open in advance, like a couple minutes or whatnot. Can you do number 7? It looks like number 27, which I'm still a little confused about. Okay, yeah. Okay. So number 7 is another, what do you call it? Another comparative problem or purchasing analysis. So this is under, so this is my textbook. Page 39, number 7. Okay, so let me just read it out loud if you happen to not be looking at it for some reason. So you suppose you need to pick out a new time machine and you have the following choices. Actually, I should probably rephrase that to saying you narrowed it down to the following choices. One time machine costs $999. It has a power supply that costs $200 and allows for 40 transports. It has an annual maintenance fee of $400. Okay, and of course the second time machine option is something like that. So of course, obviously there's no such thing as time travel, but I was just trying to make up something so that it can at least mix up the mundaneness of these problems with a printer or a copy machine or something like that. So it's the same exact thing, right? There's some kind of cost. So TM, time machine, 1, right? There's some kind of cost, and we're not talking about the initial cost of $200, and it allows you for 40 transports. So the unit cost of a transport is what? 200 over 40 or 40 over 200? And hopefully people are taking a moment to pause and they answer in their heads, oh, right, it's always the dollar amount over the amount of items, okay? By the way, I just realized I made a mistake that no one pointed out. I'm scrolling up to number 27. Remember, we were told in the problem that we had to use 50,000 mass. So don't forget to multiply the number like this right there. So this was given in the problem. Given in the problem. So if anyone did those two fractions, remember 27, and didn't get the 541, you had to multiply by the 50,000 right there. Okay. Going back to number 7 though, it's the same thing here, right? I was about to do the same thing. We are told that in the problem, we predict to do 100 transports per month, right? Or travel in time 100 times. So again, that's times 100. Where did the 100 come from? Again, given in the problem. You can't do this problem unless I give it to you. So you have to keep an eye out for this. And that's why if you look at the problem number 7, if you look below, I've written it out in the, what do you call it? In the answer sheet or whatnot, okay? Same thing here. This one, I gave a maintenance fee of, where is it? 400, but I told you it was annual. See, 400, but it's an annual fee, but we're compounded monthly though. So you gotta be over 12. So then if you add these two fractions together, this will give you, again, what? The total monthly costs. Total monthly costs, which I wrote here as $533.33. So I don't know, I think that was Karen's question. Let's find out. Where'd you get 100 from? No, it was Jackie's question, sorry. This 100 came from the problem if you happen to be looking at it. If not, let me just pull it up right here. See, it's, oops. Hi, there you go. So here's number 7 at the top. Suppose you need, sorry, I can't scribble because this is a PDF, but you see right there where it says we predict to do 100 transports per month. That is what I was describing. That must be given in the problem, because if you don't know what it is, you can figure out the unit cost, but the problem is that, sure, it costs one whatever to do this transportation in time, but the thing is that, like any monthly scenario, you have some kind of machinery and you're expecting it to use it so often. You know, for those that drive, you go, okay, well, how many miles do you expect to drive per month? Do you have an exact calculation in mind? No, probably not. But for those that do, you know, you can at least estimate. You can guess how many miles you're going to make per month. And if you have, like, say, a road trip coming up, you're going to contribute that factor. So that 100 for this particular problem, it has to be given to you. Like number 27 that I skipped and I forgot. I think I just breezed through it too quickly. That was what happened. Remember, it was talking about mass, right? They needed 50,000 mass per month. You know, that was, I just made up those numbers. But the problem provides it to you so that you can make the correct calculation. So that's where the 100 came from. Let me make sure there's no other questions here. So where'd you get, do we multiply 100 just by the 2 or the 412? So it's only the $200 divided by 40, because it has to do strictly with transports. The 400 over 12, that's an annual fee, right? You pay that only once. The reason we're dividing by 12 is to split up that annual fee so it's an equal amount of payments. If you multiply the 100 by the 400 over 12, that means that you're paying the annual fee 100 times. Actually, you're paying it 100 times per month. So you're not doing that. And just remember, the 100 is not a dollar amount. It's a numerical amount, right? It's telling you how many times you're using it, okay? What other questions for number 7? Or better yet, in case of Jackie, if you don't mind sharing, you can type it out if you don't want to speak out loud. What is it that you are still confused about? Is it the setup? Is it the question that I ask at the end? Is it something in particular? And this isn't excluded to just Jackie, this is for anyone, right? Because sure, I'm explaining it more now as I'm writing, but it's just a Can you do the present value part of the bottom of the problem? Okay, yeah. Here they tell you that the compound is 12. So as I was saying, you know, if you just look at this is the same exact thing as what is in my PDF textbook, right? That doesn't help because I'm just copying the same thing. So there must be some notion of what is confusing you, right? What's the part that we're confused about that we don't understand that I need to clarify for people, right? Because if you're just watching this, you're just watching the same exact thing, and then you could easily have, what am I looking for here? Time machine lasts for 10 years. You could have easily followed along here. So when you're thinking of your questions, and this is for everyone, right? Be precise. Tell me what's confusing you so I can give it to you right there without having to go in a large circle and, you know, tell you things that you already know or tell you something that you're like, already know that part. Just get to the point where I'm confused, right? Let me know where the confusion is so I can tell you exactly how to attack it so that I don't waste your time. Nope, that's wrong. 1 minus 1 plus 0.033. 0.033, 12 over 12, negative 120. And then that answer is in this portion as well. 54,44826. Okay. I'll give that a moment so that people can look at it, whether you're copying it down or scribbling or trying to catch up, or if there's a lag on Zoom. I'm gonna flip back now to see if there's any questions on that. Remember that amount isn't just, let's use that adding the unit cost, monthly cost, because I forgot to multiply the number given the unit cost and annual fee. Okay, cool. So see, that's perfect. So if you're like Jackie and you're kind of like, hey, what the hell's going on, right? Unit costs, again, I'll repeat it if I have to, but at least I'm repeating something that's relevant for you. It's always the dollar amount over the number of things. Okay, so that's one. Two is that gives you a cost for one whatever you're buying, right? One time machine transport, one mask, or for those that are doing grocery shopping, whether it's online or in person, that's one wine bottle, one champagne bottle, one beer, right? You're not going to drink one beer for the whole month, right? A lot of you that like wine or beer, right? I remember Rachel likes beer. She's not going to drink one beer for the month. She's going to drink a whole bunch of beer, or whoever's going to drink wine or glasses of wine or whatever. It's not just one. So when you're given that number, 100 for this example, I remember, that's why, you know, curse me for the remembering stuff that people say in class. 100 for this problem, 50,000 for that problem, and however many glasses or beers that we're all going to consume this month, right? That gives you the monthly amount, okay? The other thing is that the annual fee, as some students have already pointed out, right? It says annual fee, right? You have to translate that to compound monthly. Why compound monthly? Because in the problem, it tells you assume compound monthly. Or in the previous homework problem, it said, hey, it was such and such percentage at compound. See? So then those are the details, because you watching me doing this is even worse because you're just watching me remotely. Yeah, you're hearing my voice, right? But it's not really being ingrained. So the more I can attack what confuses, not of course the people that are asking the questions, but that's open to anyone, then we can talk about the heart of the issue, okay? Because it's already bad enough that you're in class and you're kind of half paying attention to me. At least you're physically there, you know? Now you're just listening to me like via headphones or out loud speaker. Then that just sound like a podcast. And then that depends on how your memory system works, right? Are you a type of person that can absorb information but it's just audible? or do you actually need to see stuff, right? In class, at least you're watching, you're copying a little bit. I mean, you all should be copying right now too, but heck, I don't see what everyone's doing. Some of you could just probably be laying in bed right now, just listening to me and just having your paper up above your head. And it's like, oh, cool, he's not checking homework. And you just put your notebook over your eyes and you're laying down. And you know, you probably look like this right now, right? You can see this. Yeah, see me? You're probably just like this. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, cool. He's talking about it. I got it. I got the homework, right? Whatever the case may be, right? I don't know what's going on over there, but tell me what's going on, okay? All right, what other questions do we want to see?
Professor?
Yep, good.
Could you maybe give us like tips on how to tell what a problem is like asking for? Like before you went over how to tell like future value and present value apart.
Mm-hmm.
So like when looking at questions, like little tips on how like which formula to use.
Sure, okay, so some tips, some tips about how to recognize. Okay, so this is a little bit stemming from the mind map that we've seen. So hopefully everyone's seen this, right? Hold on, I'm gonna flip out of the lecture really quick. And I'm gonna pull over, where is it? Oh, there it is. So this is the mind map, right? I labeled this second exam review, and actually I should label that to second exam mind map. Okay, remember this is found in the content section in Blackboard, the distance learning resources folder, and it's like the second or third link, okay? So I'm gonna piggyback off of this right here. So if anyone's like, oh my God, where did this come from? It's already on Blackboard, okay? So I've
Wait, I'm
already
sorry,
written.
this might be a stupid question. Are we just doing annuities for the second exam?
Yeah, it's only this stuff.
Oh, okay, okay.
Do you retract your question?
Yeah,
Ish?
I do. I do-ish,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was just on, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the only reason you want to pay attention to the first exam is that if you had a problem like, say, let me go back to my textbook really quick. Everyone see number 6 right here? Right, if I'm gonna scroll to the top so it's easy to see. You see that right there where it says, suppose you put away 200 every month, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I write in italics. Then you take the total amount and you place it in the second account, right? That's showing that the first sentence is obviously an annuity, but the second part does come from the first exam, but it's only one little aspect of it. It's to remember what compound continuously is. But you're going to have your formula sheet and you're going to have this all written out and everything anyway, because it's going to be open note, open book, open whatever you want to call it. So you have to be able to realize that, yeah, did we talk about compound continuously for the material for the second exam? No. However, you know, you can recall that because it's not something painstakingly terrible to remember. You know, it's just, oh, right, we're talking about compound continuously. We move from one account to another, and then there's that, right? If you're like young though, and you're kind of going like, well, still, how do I distinguish among the questions, right? It's basically like this. Let me switch back to today's lecture. This is all you need to know. All you need to know is this. Personally, I think it's easy to ask. Oh wait, let me scribble this. I don't want to type it, right? Personally, I think it's easy to realize if it's this. Is it an application? If it is, it's either the amortization schedule or the purchasing analysis. I'm gonna breathe that anal again because I think I'm funny. And then now you go into the mind map and then you go over the details about that, right? So the details would be knowing that the amortization schedule, you have to look for the recurring amount for the present value first, and then you make a chart. So you see black right here that I've written out are overall hints. The purple that I'm writing out right now, that is what you need to know mathematically. And then the calculator part is just the calculator part, right? So if it's an application, there's that, okay? You already know that this exam is heavily going to be on annuities. So is it future or present? Right? Because you know that application here, if it's an application, it's only present value. Is that a student? No, it isn't. Okay, good. It's only present value. So future or present, how do you recognize between these two, right? Mortgage, loan, borrow, earn, later, okay? The key thing is that total amount, right? Total amount is when? Now. For present, you earned it now, or you've borrowed it now. Future, your total amount is when? Not now, but later, right? That's the critical amount, or critical point, I should say, right? Oops, sorry, my finger slipped, right? Oh, how do I know if it's future or present or one or the other? There's only two choices, right? Oh, but how can I tell when I'm reading the problem? Okay, the total amount. Do they give it to you or are you looking for it? Well, if they give you the total amount, given total amount, that implies that you're solving for recurring payment. Sorry, that's a crappy looking G right there. Recurring payment, right? If you're given the recurring amount, you must be looking for the total amount. Okay, and then maybe some of you might even go, oh, but I see so many numbers, and how do I know if it's the recurring or the total amount? And then I'm going to say, get your head out of the ground. Have you not been listening to me for the last however many 2 months or whatnot? But here's a way to think about it. How do you know if it's the total amount or the recurring amount? Well, if it's a recurring amount, I'm telling you, you're doing something with some kind of dollar amount per something. You know it's a total amount because you just go, oh, we have this amount that we have. We have this goal. We're going to reach this goal only once, right? Yeah. Do we all want to earn $5 million as a goal? Yes. Do we want to earn $5 million as a goal multiple times in life? Absolutely. But these problems, your goal is a one-time goal, right? Excuse me, had a hiccup right there. Each problem, when you have a goal, it's a single goal. It's a singular goal, right? Or a singleton goal. So this might help a little bit more for those that are looking for a little bit more like, oh, but how do I know? It's like, but you do know, right? You have the tools. It's just that when you're reading, you're going to take a moment. You're going to go, okay, let's make sure we understand the language up here. Going, okay, write down what we know. Make sure we understand what we're solving for, what's being asked of us, so that when we go through our little flow chart or whatever you make or whatever study guide you make, you all should still be making study guides, right? Because then that will focus and hone in on the ideas that you're possibly having trouble on, and then it'll be a lot quicker than flipping through all your notes and everything. What do you mean by application? Application, remember, are the purchasing analysis and the amortization schedule. Because you know those are applications, aside from the fact that I told you, is that those questions are uniquely written, if you will, or uniquely formed. So if you see it phrased in such a way, you already know it's gonna be in that direction, you know? It's kind of like, it's like kind of like when you're going to eat out at the restaurant, right? And whoever's, you know, serving you or waiting on you, right? At the very, very end, you kind of go, well, is there anything else I can do for you? They're asking that very last ultimatum time right before the check comes. So same thing here. If you see a purchasing analysis problem or it says amortization schedule, you already know it's going to go one way. And it's going to be one of those two problems. Just like how, like, oh, is there anything else that we can do for you? Okay, cool. Let me bring the check for you. And they always come over and say, take your time and whatnot. So crap like that.